Hey guys, welcome back to Chemical Guys. So today we're going to do step 2 of the detailing process, which is clay barring your car. So we're going to show you the 5 steps to easily clay bar your car. We already washed the car, so you always want to make sure that you wash it first before you get into this step. So click link below so you can watch the first step if you'd like. We're working on this red Honda S2000, which I just got. But before we get started on the first step, I wanted to talk about making sure that you have the right tools. So I have here the different types of clay bars, the different grades, a clay block, Clay Luber, and some towels. So to kind of go over what each of them are, a clay block is a alternative to a clay bar. It's very easy to use. It's used the same way as a clay bar, but one highlight of it is you don't have to worry about using the clay, kneading it, and we'll go over that in a second. But also if you drop it on the ground, you can rinse it right off and keep going. And then we get into our clay bars. So our clay bars, you have different grades. The biggest tip that I can give is not to start off with the most aggressive. We always want you to start with kind of a mid-range, and then if it doesn't take out all the contamination, then you can always work your way down or up depending on what results you get. So like a light duty clay bar, for example, is maybe I just clayed last week or 2 weeks ago and I know there's not that much contamination, so I don't need anything that heavy duty. I'm gonna start today with the original. It's like that medium to light, so it's in between. It's not too aggressive and it's not too light. I don't know what's on the surface of the car. I don't know how much contamination, but if I start here, I can always, again, work my way up or work my way down. When you're clay barring, you wanna make sure that the surface is also very lubricated. You don't wanna cause any marring or scratches in the surface, so keeping it lubricated, make sure that that clay is gonna glide really nicely over the surface. And we're also gonna have microfiber towels, just to wipe away any residue. So I'm gonna come on over and I'm gonna explain to you the first step. What is a clay bar? Why do I need it? What does it do? So a clay bar is gonna remove all of the contamination that you can't see. So kind of like exfoliating your skin and getting that stuff out, that's what it's gonna do. It's gonna pull out anything that's on the surface of the vehicle. It can work on the paint, the windows, the headlights, your wheels, to pull out all that stuff. And that's a great step before you're gonna apply a wax, a sealant, and even before polishing. So if you want your wax to last longer, make sure to clay bar it. If you're gonna do a polishing job, you need a clay bar. So sometimes the easiest way to find out if you need a clay bar is rubbing your hand against the vehicle. Yes, some may say that's gonna scratch just by rubbing it if there is stuff on it. It may, but I'm gonna do paint correction anyway. But I wanted you to know that when you rub on the surface, you're gonna hear that it's rough. Right now, to me, it seems smooth, but once I clay bar, you're gonna see that it's gonna actually be even softer and even more smooth. So what you wanna do is work in a 2x2 area, and then I'm gonna show you guys with the clay bar and the clay lube what to do. You don't need to be scared of clay barring the car. It's very easy to do. With the clay bar, it's a square. I'm cutting it in 4, so you don't need to use the whole piece at a time. So I already pre-cut it in 4. It is similar to like when you'd play with Play-Doh. And then in the container, you can always put it in to store it. So what you wanna do is just knead it into like a flat disc. So basically, so it fits on your fingers. And I'm going to spray my clay luber on this and then on the surface. Now, keeping it really lubricated is what's gonna help it glide and remove all of the impurities and contamination that's on the surface. And then what I'm gonna do, very simply, I'm just gonna glide it over the surface, lightly back and forth. Now, a back and forth motion is what you wanna do because should you pick up any contamination into the clay bar, it's gonna stay in the clay bar, and if you do circular motion, then you may cause marring into it if you pick up something on the clay bar. So with your pressure, you wanna do just light pressure. You don't have to go too rough. And like I said, back and forth motion. And one question we always get is, how do I know when to stop? Like, how do I know to not do that surface again? Well, you're gonna feel it. You're gonna feel the gliding start off a little bit more harder to move, and then over time, as you keep going over the surface, it's gonna glide easier. So that means that you can keep moving on. That section is pretty much ready. So you can keep applying your luber to make sure that it is properly lubricated and gliding along the surface. So far from what I can tell is that this car probably was clayed, or it's been in a garage. So maybe it was under a car cover and it didn't really have much contamination or exposed too much. It does have for what year it is, it has low miles, so it wasn't driven as much as most cars, but you can clay bar your car as often as you'd like. You can remove the contamination. I always recommend doing it before you are going to apply a wax or a sealant. That is going to help make your wax and sealant last longer and adhere better to the paint. All right, so after I finish that section, I'm going to get a microfiber towel and I'm just going to wipe away the clay luber in one direction so that we can take off that excess. Like I said, you can work in a 2x2 area and then keep working your way into different sections. And you will see that your clay bar has dirt and all the contamination that's pulled out. This area wasn't too bad, but once you start seeing that it has some contamination, like here, I already found that it picked up something a little bit harder, you want to bend it over and knead it to a new section. So that's what clay bar is doing. It's picking it up, and so you want to make sure that you're not getting that whatever it's picked up and the contamination and moving it onto another section and then creating marring or scratches or swirls. One big misconception about clay barring is that clay bars remove scratches and swirls. It doesn't. It's just removing the contamination to get you ready, like I said, for waxes, sealants, or for your polishing. We're going to do a full polish on this, so I want to make sure that I remove all of the contamination and get it ready. So I'm going to work on this area. And again, if I notice that the clay bar wasn't picking up as much as it needed to, then I would have switched to a heavier grade clay bar. But as you can see, it's very easy to do. You're basically just going in back and forth motion. If you played with Play-Doh, it's pretty simple. All right, now I'm going to wipe it again. And like I said, and the reason you'll know that you can start moving on is because the clay bar is gliding much easier off the surface, and there's not as much friction to get it away. So that's when I know it's working. So again, you can do this on your glass, you can do it on the paint, you can do it on the headlights, on the wheels. So I'm going to do the whole car, and then we are going to make sure that this is decontaminated and contamination free, and then we're going to do a full polishing. So we're going to show you how to remove the scratches, the swirls, and really bring back the shine and take off all the imperfections, or at least as much as we can. So check back on our next video where we show you how to polish this whole car. And if you have any questions about how to clay bar, feel free to drop a comment in the comments below. We'll be sure to answer them. And if there's any other videos we can make for you, we'll be sure to do them. So give this a thumbs up and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.